All right, guys, so I am laying on a wool blanket on the ground near the wood line, okay? And the reason I'm doing that is because everybody's going to be worried about EMPs pretty soon, all right? I've seen where William Forstchen's book, 1 Second After, is going to be turned into a movie. I saw that on Fox News. And, you know, with all the blackouts in Spain and Portugal and everywhere else, something's coming. So we need to get ready. We need to talk about what's going on, okay? So I'm going to show you a few core items that I keep in my pack already. And I've seen a few videos on YouTube, and I'm predicting that there's going to be a whole trend, another upkick in the EMP, CME, and just grid down scenario type thing that's going to happen. And I want to talk about that, okay? Now, these are going to be items that you should already have in your pack. And I've seen a few videos where these are like basically pouch or pack specific videos geared towards grid down scenarios, okay? Well, you should already be prepared for that. You should have a pack that's not just for grid down scenario, but for any kind of scenario, okay? So I want to set up, because my back is killing me right now, and we're going to talk about these things. Hang out for a second. All right, guys. Too old to lay like that too long, right? So let's talk about our EDC real quick, and then our extension of, which is what I'm always talking about. So, what do you typically have? You got your wallet. All right, power outage. You're probably not going to be able to buy some things with your debit card and stuff like that. You can't go to the ATM if all the power's shut down, right? I feel bad for those people over there in Spain, Portugal, what is it, France, all those other places. It could happen here. It could not. And one thing I do want to add is, you know, you've watched the show Doomsday Preppers and all that silly mess. You got the guys with the gas mask, and they're like, I'm preparing for a nuclear event or this or that or whatever. Do not prep for specific events. That is dumb, okay? Unless you know the future. Are you a fortune teller? No, me neither. So what I do is I like to prepare for, you know, something that's like everything, all right? Now, if I have to admit it, I would say that grid down situations would be the most detrimental to our country in the USA here, by far over everything else, unless somebody dropped a nuke on us, okay? I'm not going out and buying a bunch of gas masks and stuff. The reason for that is I don't have the money to do it. Otherwise, I would. I would build a bunker if I were rich, and I would do all that stuff. But I don't, okay? So we're going to be realistic, and I don't think zombies are coming. I hate when people reference zombies in these types of, you know, survival videos or whatever you want to call it, prepping videos. It drives me crazy. But anyway, grid down. You got a lot of problems, okay? People can't get their medicine. Now, people in hospitals, people that need breathing treatments and things like that, they really need that stuff to live. If your grid goes down, then your oxygen tanks and stuff like that. Okay, now a tank can run off pressure or whatever, but if you're assisted living, okay, pharmaceutical stuff, say stores shut down, all right, so you can't buy gas. Well, guess what? You can't buy your insulin either. All right, so people are going to be dropping like flies if this continues on. So a 24-hour kind of a deal is what we're looking at, and this is just a kit to kind of get you started on that. 24 to 48 hours, you are kind of looking at, you know, if it goes on further than that, then you might have some issues. So, like I said, your wallet, you're probably going to have it on you. Your debit card is going to be useless. Keep a little bit of cash. It looks like I've got a 20 in here. That's all I've got right now. I like to keep between 50 and 100. It looks like my wife may have been in my wallet. So, something to consider. All right. I always keep a bandana. Do what you want. I like camo. I can cover my face with it. I can filter water with it. I can do a lot of things. I can gather wild edibles. Swiss Army knife. It's a knife, but it's a multi-tool, okay? Now, typically on the pack that I carry every day, there's a Leatherman on there too. So I've got two multi-tools, but one of them is my main knife. You might want to think about that. I used to carry the Leatherman by itself all the time. So maybe that's what you want to do. It's up to you. I usually have this little tiny flashlight with me. It takes a AAA battery. That's going to come in later, okay? the difference between a headlamp and this kind of a like handheld light, and this one does have the reversible clip, so I can clip it on the bill of my hat and use it as a headlamp. But the thing is, a handheld flashlight is more like a searchlight. Okay, you're looking for something. Who's that? What's that noise? I dropped something. Where is it at? Okay, two different kinds of lights. Headlamps have different options, but they basically flood out more, and they are hands-free. So when you're working on something, you have a hands-free option, which is by far the best option. This just happens to work both ways, but the beam is more narrow. Okay, so I like to have two lights. Plus, this light and my headlamp carry the same batteries. Okay, so we'll keep that in mind later. So we've got a wallet, we've got a bandana, we've got a knife, we've got a flashlight, and we've got our Glock 19. I usually carry a spare magazine. We're not going to get into that right now. This is just going to be the core basics that you would need to get you through, say, if you were on an Amtrak and the power shut off and everybody was able to get out, or if you're in a building and the power shut off and you're just kind of hanging out. Okay, all right, I'm going to flip the camera around and throw it on the wool blanket, because specifically it's got to be wool when you're a survivalist. One thing I want to throw in real quick, guys, if you smoke, if you dip, if you chew, I don't care, some kind of nicotine, whatever you have, keep it on you. All right, I'm not telling you to keep doing it. You need to quit. All right, here's the deal. When I was younger, like a long time ago, I smoked. I really liked dipping. I used to do it quite a bit. I quit all that. I quit everything for years and years and years, and one day I got really pissed off. So I picked up some of these, and they worked. This is actually how I quit dipping. These on things, you can get them in different milligrams or whatever, and the can's actually pretty cool. If you want to make a survival kit out of this, you could. You've got the main compartment where everything goes in, and you've got this little, what they call a trash can in the back. So if you're working in an office and you want to discreetly spit your thing out, then you got a place to put it. This is a great place to put, like, say, fishing weights and fishing hooks. If you want to make like a little survival kind of kit out of this, or fishing kit out of this, really good option. Either way, here's the deal. If you smoke, if you dip, I don't give a crap what you do. It doesn't matter to me. Obviously, I'm not the authority on what you do. But you don't want to be stuck in a bad situation and be irritated because you don't have your nicotine. So if you use nicotine in any way, or tobacco or what have you, have it on you. All right? Okay. All right, guys, so my main tripod just broke, and I had to spend about 30 minutes walking back and getting another one, and it kind of sucks. And if the wind blows, the camera's going to move. So sorry about that. Anyway, we've got our main EDC up top. All right. Now, what do we have for him, Johnny? We've got a water bottle, which should be a single-walled, at least stainless steel container that you should be carrying with you all the time. And I am really tired of seeing these little survival kits that do not include a vessel to carry your water in that you can boil in, because that is just dumb. Okay. Now, I really like Dave Canterbury's Pathfinder bottle, because up to, I think the rim is exactly a liter. If not, then it's right here somewhere. I'm going to get into why I like that just in a little bit. But this is a really good water bottle. Okay, you should have something that you could boil water in and carry water in with you all the time. I drink water quite a bit. I talk about it all the time. You know, there's water bottle survival kits out there with the stuff stuffed inside of it, but you need a little bit more than that, you know. Otherwise, you're going to have full pockets. So anyway, that's number one on the list. That's number one on any list, or it should be. Now, imagine you are in like an urban environment, which is kind of what I'm picturing right now for power outages, because if I'm out camping or walking along the side of the road, what have you, other than stopping in stores and trying to get supplies and not being able to with my debit card, I don't really care if the power's out if I'm backpacking or camping, because the power's already out. Okay, I'm an electrician. I wire houses for a living. When the lights come on, I'm gone. I say it all the time. I work most of the time with a headlamp or some kind of a light or what have you. Now, I will tell you that having a headlamp is the go-to for me for any kind of situation. Now, like I said before, with my handheld light, that's more of a searchlight. This is a work light. You can walk with this. You can fiddle around, do things, start a fire with this. It's really dumb not to have this. This one is rechargeable battery capable. I don't have the rechargeable battery for it, and I'll probably get it at some point, but I'm not worried about it right now. So this takes 3 AAA batteries. My other flashlight takes 1, so 4 AAA batteries can power, you know, both of these. Maxpedition, and this is one of my optional items for this video, sells this in a little, it comes in a little case, but you know, I've got the CR123s here, and I've got 5 or 6 actually, 6 AAAs in this side, and you can take this apart and just carry this piece if you want to. Okay, so that is an optional item. Spare batteries. I use my stuff, so I don't need to check if I don't have to carry spare batteries if I know my stuff's full, because I use it all the time. Now, that being said, some sort of way to start a fire. Are you guys proud of me? I finally got a Bic lighter and put some tape around it. Now, I will say, if you peel this tape off, okay, and I'm not going to include a ferro rod in this kit. I'm just not going to do it because, honestly, this is more geared around a 24-hour emergency or so. You're going to be fine. You're probably not even going to be starting a fire. You're not going to drop off in the woods and sit there and boil water and set up camp and all that nonsense. You're just not going to do it. You're not stuck out in the woods. You didn't have a bad camping trip or a bad skiing trip or whatever. You're out somewhere. Everything's shut down. The trains are off. Power's off. Maybe you're stuck in an elevator, who knows? You don't have to do all that. So look, this here is about 2 inches. Okay, so 2 by maybe 2. If I tear this off right here, I'll just go ahead and do it. All right, and I'm gonna roll this up. This is Gorilla Tape. It's better than duct tape. It holds better and it lasts longer. So I'm gonna roll this up kind of like you would like a cigarette back in the day or something. I'm gonna do it loosely. So I've got a hole through there, okay? I can light this with that lighter, and I would do it right now, but the wind's blowing like crazy. Man, I don't want to burn my wool blanket because it's so precious. This will burn for about 3 minutes. A 2 by 2 piece. Now, that's about the same as a good Vaseline soaked cotton ball. Okay, maybe just a little bit longer. It's going to turn into a gooey mess once you do it, so be careful where you do it at. But that's gonna, if you can't get a fire started with that, you know, go get you some dried grass by the creek or wherever you can find it in a field, and then have your tinder ready, you know, your smaller sticks, your medium sticks, your larger sticks to kind of get a fire going. Guys, if you can't start a fire with this, you're gonna have some issues. Okay, now hand sanitizer, okay, also a good fire starter, especially with a lighter. But you can also clean your hands, or if you had to eat with an old spoon or something like that that you found, you can clean it up with this. Okay, it's a sanitizer. It's what it is, it's what it does. So multi-purpose item. All right, don't die in the woods. These are awesome. They pack down really small. Here's the palm of my hand. Okay, you can make a shelter, you can make a blanket, you can make a sleeping bag, you can lay it down and use it as a blanket. You can do all these things. You can use it to catch water if you wanted to. This one's in woodland camo. You get them in different colors. Really awesome. For about 20 bucks, you get 4 of these in a pack. Really dumb not to have this. Okay. Toilet paper. This is a small, one of those Coligans or whatever, Coleman maybe. I don't know. I can't remember what it is. It's a small diameter roll of toilet paper. This is going to get you through, you know, a short emergency. Now after that, if your emergency turns into a longer term emergency, you're gonna have to use leaves or something that you can find. That's okay, you can do that. I've done it many times, especially growing up. My 4-year-old the other day wanted to pee outside in the woods, and I said okay, and she says, Dad, I don't have anything to wipe with. I said, well, the car's not that far. I'll go get you a wipe. No, just hand me that leaf. Okay, so she figured that out. You can too. Small roll of toilet paper in a Ziploc bag. And you can get, you know, like the shit kit I had in my last video, I think. That's what it's called, honestly. You know, and it's got different things, and it's got wet wipes and stuff like that in it. But this is just toilet paper, and you can sanitize your hands over there. Now, this is my boo-boo kit. All right. I've got a lot of things in this kit, and I think I've showed it before. Along with the poop situation, I have some wet ones in here. I think I can fit 2 on top with all the other stuff that I have in it. Yeah. So you can clean your hands or wipe your butt or whatever you got to do. Okay. Now, it's important to have something like this, I think, because a lot of times these videos that you see, it's sort of people say survivalists, preppers, whatever, the big time guys that make all the money on YouTube, they say, you know, the lone wolf thing just doesn't really work. You got to have a community. But when you look at their bug out bags or their get home bags and what have you, it's just enough stuff for one person. It's just for them. So I don't really think like that. I've got a wife and I've got 2 young little girls. So I've got all kinds of stuff in here, and here's my water purification tablets. So I've got my bottle that I can boil water in. I've got my bandana I can put over it to keep debris out when I collect the water before I boil it, okay? And I've got these Nicotine water purifying tablets. Now, they do take 4 hours to fully work if your water's really nasty. You know, I would like a quicker option, but have you noticed that I don't have a Sawyer mini filter or anything like that in here, because I'm trying to keep everything condensed down. So, but I like these Nicotine tablets because they are designed for 1 liter. Well, so is that bottle. So there's no math involved. There's no guessing involved. I know that I can put one of these tablets into this bottle. I can fill it up to this rim, and I've got the appropriate amount of water for this tablet. So I like these, okay? I've got all kinds of stuff in here now. I've got sunscreen, I've got insect bite cream, I've got burn cream in case I had to start a fire to burn my finger. You know, there's different things in here. I've got wound seal, I've got quick clot in here, and I always have about 8 to 10 Tylenols rolled up in a bag in case I have some swelling, inflammation. My knees hurt a lot, my back hurts a lot. So if I got to walk a long way, it's nice to have something like this. I get migraines once in a while. These work on that. Fevers, okay? And then in the bottom, I've got some different size Band-Aids, larger ones and small ones. Now, if you want to bypass all that, of course, you could get some medical tape and a piece of gauze, and you could cut it and make your own Band-Aids, and you don't have to carry all this stuff. But this works for me because I have a family. All right. And then, of course, I've got the Ranger bands on the outside. They have many, many uses. And I like them because they go over the hinges of the Altoids tin, and they help to waterproof that if my pack were to get wet. And then I've got duct tape on that in case I need to start additional fires. So that's a very nice little boo-boo kit. Sorry, told you this tripod sucks and is in my way. Okay, let's see how that goes over the hinges of that. Okay. And, you know, I like to keep a couple packs of electrolytes with me, you know. So that would go straight into the canteen there. And I think these are per 16 ounces, each one of them. So 16 and 16 is 32. That's 1 liter. There you go. A paper map of your general area. Now, having Google Maps is great, and it will show you how far you got to go. Having an app that you can download your maps, like, you know, your general way home and things like that, is great. If there is an EMP or CMA situation and it fries your cell phone for whatever reason and nothing works, you cannot beat a paper map, because that's not going to affect this, okay? And you can get these Randy McNally maps. I really like those. I've got one here that I have shown before. It is laminated. Figure out what I did with it. Well, okay, I think I left that one out. But anyway, you can get laminated maps too. This is, you know, Eastern United States, which is where I live and most of the time where I travel. So, and it folds out fairly big, okay? You ever been in a situation where your phone don't work and you need to find your way back? These really work, trust me, I know. Now, cordage. Typically, most people carry paracord, and then you see with the bushcrafting community and things like that, bank line. This is number 18. So number 36 bank line and number 15 bank line are fairly popular. This is number 18 because it was a good price on Amazon, so I thought I'd order it, and it's from a reputable company. This stuff is pretty strong. In comparison, and this is one of my optional items, this is 30 foot of paracord, and I like paracord, don't get me wrong. There's certain situations where I would prefer paracord over bank line. But for this kit, when you're trying to slim things down, this is 100 feet. No, this is 50 feet of bank line. That's right, I cut it. 50 feet of bank line, 30 feet. You can see the size comparison. Okay. Now, I usually keep a bowline knot in the end tied on already to my hank of paracord. Okay. With this one, I did something a little bit different. If I could find it. Oh yeah, it's right here. So I have this little adjustable cinch knot. Now the reason I did this is because I can adjust this knot, okay, and I can loop that around the neck of a water bottle or something, and I could lower it down. Say if I'm on a really high bank, if I find myself on the high bank of a creek or a river, I can lower this down. I could even put my bandana over it and cinch this down and collect water and bring it back up to me if it's something I don't want to go down and get. You know, maybe I have an injury or something, I really need some water, that's my only way to get it. You know, so I like that. I like how compact bank line is. I like how strong it is. I also like the fact that I can untwist this and I could use it, and you know, I could add some kind of a weight to it or tie a rock to it if I had a hook, and you know, I could throw it out in the middle of a river or something and maybe catch a catfish or what have you. You know, you got different options for different things. So I really like the bank line, especially for this. It's just really, really compact. The other thing about bank line is if you were to build a shelter, you know, with your emergency blanket, okay, you've got a ridge line, you've got a ton of cordage there. So you could do it a ridge line, and then you could cut smaller pieces off and use it for your tie downs. You can get some sticks and make some stakes and things like that. You can create like a small shelter, like a lean-to or a A-frame or some kind of a tent if you wanted to, and use your lashings with that. And you know, you got a pretty good little shelter there if it's coming down and you're really in a bad situation. So I like that. I like these two items together. They work fairly well. And there is a channel, if you haven't seen it, called Waypoint Survival. The guy has a really good channel where he set up a little shelter system with this, with some aluminum nails that he had modified with bank line and the Don't Die in the Woods, and it's a pretty cool little setup. I really like it. Okay. All right, guys, so there you have it. You got your EDC plus your extension of your EDC, your 10 items, okay? And I said I was going to add some optional items in here, and one of those is, I don't know what brand this is, but these little button lights, okay, on the back of it, it has, you can pull this off and it will stick to something. I've got one of these in, I've got this cheap sort of a gun safe style. It's like a stack-on brand thing I keep ammo and stuff in, and it works really good for a little light. Okay, now this one's loud, the other one's not. No, it wasn't loud that time. Okay, but that doesn't look like much, but guys, that will light up a bedroom like nobody's business. Okay, so if you are in a situation where you don't have a fire, or you can't have a fire, say you're in a power outage situation and a group of you guys just got off an Amtrak and you're like, well, we're going to build a fire so we can see, and we're going to hang out until everything comes on. You never know if the authorities are going to come by, depending on where you are, what government, what locality you're in, or what country you're in. And they might say, well, you can't really have a fire here. It might cause a problem. You guys need to move on. You know, you never know when you're going to get ushered out by the government. So this is a nice little thing, even in a tent, okay? It puts off a good amount of light, something you can work with, and it doesn't wear down the batteries in your EDC items or your headlamp or whatever else. And, you know, if it dies, throw it on the ground and keep walking. I mean, who cares? You know, they're cheap. So I think I got these in it's like a pack of 6 or 8, something like that. and they really do, they work quite well. Okay. Now, the other optional item that I've seen in other people's videos is a power bank. I bought a cell phone many years ago, and this came free with it. And that cell phone lasted me 6 years, and still it stopped taking a charge. I have a new cell phone now, and I've had that cell phone, the one I'm using now, for 4 years. Okay, so this is, what, 10 years old? This is a, what does that say, Mophie? I can't get it focused. There we go. All right, it's very thin, and it has a little button on here, and there's 4 lights, and it will show you how much charge it has. Okay, you guys can't see that probably, but anyway, it's fully charged, and I have not used this thing in a year. The only time I've used it 3 times just to see if it still worked, and it does work. Here's my thing with rechargeable stuff. If you got a rechargeable headlamp and a rechargeable flashlight, if you're doing something with those lights and you've only got one and it's nighttime, you know, these are great. You can plug it up, you can charge it. But it's kind of like the electric vehicles to me. You see the guys in the Tesla cars and everything at the grocery store, at your Lowe's Foods or what have you, and they're just sitting there taking a nap, waiting on the car to charge. Is it not easier just to put gas in your car and go? All right, so if you got a situation going on, you don't want to sit there and charge your light when it's dead. Keep up with your stuff. It's so much easier just to pop a fresh pack, you know, a little bit of batteries in there and go. Like, I'm just, until this technology changes, I mean, whatever. I do have one flashlight that is dual fuel that I use at the house, and I've got 2 batteries for it. And they are rechargeable. It is my house flashlight. When one dies, I pop the other one in and I charge the other one. Okay, when you're in a bad situation, or if you're hiking and camping and enjoying yourself, the rechargeable stuff, like, it just doesn't make sense to me. I'm just not going to do it. And I use rechargeable lights all the time at work. Okay, I work in the dark a lot of the times. I'm an electrician. We've got two work lights, and we've got 2 headlamps apiece for 2 guys. And I will tell you, Klein Tools makes good headlamps and good work lights, and the batteries last a good while. But after about 6 hours, my headlamp dies. And when it tells you it's dying, it starts flashing. And you know, you're working on something. Well, that's kind of hard to see when your light's strobing on you, you know. So, you know, if you're in a 24-hour to 48-hour emergency, you don't really want to deal with that. You want to pop some fresh batteries in and go. Now, your emergency might last longer than 24 to 48 hours. So I think these batteries, regular batteries, are a better option because you're not going to be running them all the time. This particular battery bank here, as thin and sleek and nice as it is, it will charge a laptop 1 time. It will charge a cell phone, I think, 2 to 3 times. Flashlights, you can probably get a little bit better out of that. This is a good option for that. Now, the ones that you see are like thicker now that people use, and you can have solar capabilities and stuff like that. I'm trying to keep this stuff slimmed down, and the reason that I'm doing that is because most people don't want to carry anything with them. Okay, and I have actually been slimming my gear down because I used to carry a lot of stuff. Okay, and I realize I don't need all this stuff. Okay, especially now the weather's changed, it's getting warmer. I don't need all this stuff. So one thing that I want to add, other than my other optional items, is, guys, a good ham radio. Now, I know that a lot of you are going to see this, and some of you already have them, and if you don't, you're like, well, I'm not going to get into all that. Look, I studied in the afternoons here and there for about 2 weeks, and I passed the test, and I got the lower level ham radio license. I know enough to get by. I like this radio. I've had 2 different ones. I've had the FT65. This is the FT4X. I really like this radio. I know how to program it, and I can find emergency channels. This one here is very easy. Okay, you can turn it on, and I have not turned this radio on in a while because I don't hang out on the radio, and I can hold down, I think it's the number 1 button.
County, operating on a frequency of 162.550 megahertz.
Okay, that's the NOAA stations. Okay, and there's 10 you can cycle through, and whichever one picks up the best, That's the one you want to listen to. There is no better way when there is a power outage than using a ham radio or some type of emergency radio with NOAA capabilities to know what's going on locally, okay? You can't beat it. Having a ham radio license, I find, is very, very important. I like having it, but like I said, I do the bare minimum. I get on here once in a while to practice. I get on here and I program in different, channels and things like that. I'm not on it as a hobbyist, all right? But I do like having it. I do appreciate having it. This came in very handy during the hurricane. We were lucky. We had a power outage for, I don't know, maybe 30 hours, I think, okay? And this was the only way we could get weather and stuff like that. So if you imagine cell phone towers being out and stuff like that, it's a good thing to have, okay? So maybe you don't want to carry a ham radio. You're like, oh, I don't want to carry all that. Well, guess what? This antenna comes up, and this antenna is an upgrade, okay? But you can pack this down if you carry a backpack, and they make different types of antennas that swirl around and they pack down easier and stuff. These antennas are not expensive, guys, okay? And they just screw on. So if you feel like you live somewhere where you have to worry about things like that, guys, this is a really, really good option. The batteries last a long time. These Yaesus, this particular one, I think I've got 15 hour battery life out of this. I've had this radio for about 5 years now, I think. Okay, and it's still, like I said, I barely use it. I use it when I want to, pretty much. It turns on every time. Everything works. It's user friendly. It's nice and handy. Okay, there it is in my hand. So, and this is a 15-inch antenna. There's different options. You can get shorter ones, longer ones. Longer ones are better. So, something to consider for an optional item. Alright guys, there you go. There is my plus 10 items that you can add to any kind of bag or kit or whatever you have that is not disaster specific, that can help you out in any situation, including a power outage or an EMP or what have you. Okay, like I said, don't prep for one specific thing. Prep for anything that could happen, because you never know where you're going to be. All right, now I don't care what kind of pack you carry. You know, I use this pack just to carry this stuff down there. I could fit all this stuff in a fanny pack if I wanted to. You know, always extend your EDC. Don't forget that your EDC is first and all your other stuff is second. Okay, two-tier system, I guess, if you want to call it that. All right, now I've been seeing a lot of stuff, and I'm going to leave you guys with this. Like I said, coming up on the internet, I see a lot of trends on YouTube. All right, now, yes, I have a prepper based channel, okay, but there's other things that I enjoy. I want to say this: Magic Prepper is a channel that I like to watch. I find him entertaining, and I like his information. Okay, I like the way he does things. He put out a video probably a week ago or so, and the title, or on the thumbnail, it just said, "I'm tired." You know, I think he's saying what a lot of us are thinking, and I've seen another guy too say the same thing. All right, you watch the news, you hear stories, and then you get on YouTube and you're like, oh, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? And we live in this world of just conjecture and negativity, and I'm trying to get away from that. I've got things that I want to do, and just like he was saying, it's really hard to bring videos to people, or just to live your life in general. Just forget YouTube, just do things in general, always worried about something. Okay, now I had a guy that we work with sometimes, he's another electrician, and he asked me, he said what are you preppers going to talk about on your YouTube channels now that Trump got elected? You know, that was of course back when the election was over. And I said, well, you know, Trump being elected doesn't stop you know, hurricanes, tornadoes, floods, things like that. You never know when somebody's going to attack us, you know, drop a nuke on us, or an EMP or whatever. Now, like I said, grid down, that's pretty much my focus, because that's what's going to affect me the most. And that is what Magic Prepper was talking about when he said, what's going to affect you? You know, how is this war in Ukraine affecting you right now, this and that? I'll tell you what affects me right now: inflation. If I got to throw it out there, the stuff that Trump's doing with the tariffs and everything, you know, maybe prices are going to rise. I don't know. I'm not a politician. I'm not, you know, an economic analyst, but the way I look at it, things are already hard. Things are already tough. This is a single income household where I live. Okay, I work. My wife stays home with the kids. She does her job. I do mine. And, you know, I guess the money comes from mine, but she does a really good job of looking for deals in stores, you know, dollar stores, things like that. She's really good at that. So she's also good with plants and growing things. So we can grow things, we can things, we can do the little homestead thing all we want to, but it does not match the high cost of things right now. So, you know, at one point eggs were like what, $12 a carton, you know? So guys, keep that into consideration. You just don't get overwhelmed with things that are going on in the world, because the world is not the US. If you're watching in the US, the world is not where you live. All right. So that's pretty much all I got on that one. Guys, appreciate it. And listen, I am really close to 3,000 subscribers. I really appreciate it. I'd like to roll out more content. I've been kind of caught up lately and everything. So guys, those of you that hung in there, watched my full videos, especially the longer ones like this one, I really appreciate it. Thanks for listening, and share, like, subscribe, all that stuff. I hate to ask, I really do. I'm just not that kind of guy. But anyway, guys, thanks. Stick around. Protect, provide, prepare. Look out for yourself. See ya.